Thank you, Commissioner, for being here. I do have a question. You know, as you might be aware, I'm a business owner myself, and I have to, with all due respect, I have to take a little exception when you use the word "we" about paying back this $9 billion. There is no "we." It's the business owners of New York State that are going to bear that burden, and I think it's important that everybody understands that this is not a state subsidized event. This is going to be borne on the backs of every single employer in New York State, and to the tune of $9 billion plus interest. So with that, my question to you is, how much of that $9 billion can be attributed to unemployment insurance fraud?
I don't have a number. It's certainly not $9 billion. We prevented $36 billion from going out the door. I don't have a hard number for how much actually was committed, but remember that we are constantly clawing back monies. We use federal resources, the FBI, Secret Service, all of that, banks. So we are constantly getting some of the money. We'll never recover all of it, obviously, but we are constantly getting some of that money. And so the number changes, but it's certainly nowhere near the $9 billion.
Well, but we don't really know what the number is. I know the state of California has identified their number. I think it was around 16 billion. How do we know where we are in fraud?
I asked my folks at UI yesterday, because I knew this question was going to come up. And one of the problems is each state defines unemployment insurance fraud a little differently. So there's not one definition that is countrywide. There's a lot of variance in there, and that's why I'm reluctant to give you a number, because I don't actually know what it is yet. I appreciate that California's fraud was so bad, they literally had to shut down their system for 3 days so they could stabilize it and reopen again. That never happened to us, thank God.
All right. Well, and along the lines of fraud, I can tell you again, as a business owner, we had a lot of people that applied for unemployment and were, given unemployment. Basically, they quit their job and collected unemployment. You would not allow us to ask why. They would tell you why, but we weren't, as employers, allowed to ask why they quit their job and were still eligible for unemployment. And most of the time we heard it was because they feared catching COVID. Although I can tell you as a restaurant owner that we had restaurant employees that quit their jobs, collected unemployment, assumingly because they wanted to, they feared catching COVID, and then they would actually show up to eat and drink at our restaurant. So I don't really think that the fear of catching COVID was that extra federal incentive is really what it was. But with that being said, can you still quit your job in New York State and collect unemployment to this day?
No.
So you cannot use fear of catching COVID right now?
I'm sorry, you can't. Yes, if you
yes, you can.
You have a legitimate reason to be afraid of catching COVID in your workplace. That is a reason for leaving your employment. However, in order to be eligible to collect benefits in general, you cannot walk away from your job.
Well, I would, with all due respect, again, I think having an unemployment insurance claim denied is like you have a better chance of being struck by lightning right now. I think it would be important that they actually have follow-up on these folks that still claim that they have a fear of catching COVID, and they are still quitting their jobs. That's why we have a workforce issue right now in New York State, a big part of that. So, but I appreciate what you're doing to try and fight back on that. Thank you.